First of all, thanks again so much. Since Matt, you were on here first, why don't you just tell us a little about yourself, how you're introduced to Magic, and any history you have with the game?
I was introduced to Magic pretty much on like the playground asphalt. Started playing when the Dark was in print, and Fallen Empires came out shortly after I started playing. So I am a lifer and have played the entire time, but off and on, never really been a serious competitive grinder. Have played some PTQs, but not a ton. I played group games back in the 90s and 2000s before Commander was a thing.
Yeah.
And then largely in 2010 or so, started moving to playing Cube mostly.
Yeah, so that's pretty, I mean, 2010 with Cube playing, that's kind of some of the very early days of Cube with Sir Funch-a-Lot and what, just kind of building the format. All right, that's cool. Yeah, I think, we were all kind of sidewalk grinders, right? I remember, so my friend, I think I started playing in like, I honestly can't remember, like 94, 95. It was not alpha beta. It was probably like unlimited revised. And my friend came across the street and he's like, hey, John, I got these Magic cards. And I was like, sweet, man, show me a trick, He's like, no, they're not those kind of Magic cards. I'm like, cool, man, like that's whatever. And then I was hooked after that once he like showed me what it was. But I'm pretty certain I got swindled out of a Mox Pearl for Force of Nature because I thought Force of Nature was much cooler. But I'm not for certain on that now anymore. But in my memory, that's kind of what I think. But all right, cool, man. Geeky, how about you? What tell us a little about yourself? What's some of your history with Magic?
Yeah, so back in high school, I was playing Hearthstone.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty natural move over after my first year of college. So the summer of 2016, I was interested in this one girl to spend more time with her. She taught me Magic. And then at the same time, I was moving in with somebody who used to play Magic. So we both started playing Modern on Magic Online and at a local game store a lot.
Awesome. Yeah, diving into Modern, that's a serious format. Yeah, obviously if you can meet people, and CubeCon's gonna be a great example of that, but like, yeah, playing Magic to meet people is super a great reason to right, just get pulled into the game. So Matt, I know you said right that you kind of started playing Cube in the early days. Geeky, when did you first figure out what Cube was?
So I mean, I just started playing Magic in 2016. I think in late 2017 probably is when I started playing Magic Online, watching Twitch streams.
Yeah.
Or late 2016 or early 2017.
Who do you watch? Who do you watch online?
So now very little, because I'd rather just be playing.
Yeah.
But back then, I think Caleb, Gabby, and Newmont were the big three, I want to say, that got me into Cube.
Yeah, for sure. I started playing Cube in like 2017. I mean, I was going to say, Geeky, don't sell yourself short, man. I think I saw it was either from on Lucky Paper Radio. I think Andy said something about how like because of the Enchant Wordle game that like 50% of the Magic cards now have been released since like 2016 or 20, like right of all time. You have
perfect.
like awesome. Right, like so like you've been around for more than half of the Magic cards produced. So I think that's. Yeah. You don't have to be old timer to have the credibility that you have there. I am going to CubeCon as well. I guess I'll see you guys at CubeCon. Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I got to figure that out, but I do think I'm going to go.
All right, I hope you can go. I'm excited to go out there and see you guys and just see the whole crew. Like I know Caleb Gannon, I think, is going to be out there. Obviously, J-Bro and the whole crew are going to be out there. Gwen Decker will be out. All the names, right? All the Cube names. So I'm just really excited about that event. But yeah, so Geeky, sounds like you already know you're going.
Yeah, I've already bought my pass to the Gamehole Con.
Yeah,
I'm super stoked to finally meet some people in real life.
Yeah, for sure. I think I got my tickets like months ago, like not for Gamehole Con, but just for the hotel to try, and like that hotel at the center was filled up already, right? So I'm like downtown or wherever. Yeah. So Matt, don't delay, man. If you're looking to figure it out, get out there.
I need to open a tab right now to get the hotel.
I was looking at both your guys. You guys posted both your records on Twitter. Geeky, we'll start with you again. So you posted on Twitter, you were 402 out of 582 matches, 69% win rate. Man, like I saw that last stream was 18 hours of the one day. Like I kept clicking through the stream. I was like, I know he played Matt on the stream. I'm like, where is it? I'm like, there's 18. I was clicking through 18 hours. Dude, what was your journey like to achieve the top of the leaderboard?
So what's really nice is that as a grad student having grad student jobs as being a research assistant and a teaching assistant, I make almost all of my own hours, and I can, for some of the stuff, push stuff a month ahead of time. A lot of stuff I've pushed off till now, and I can get it done. So I was able to free up a lot of time to cube. And really, a couple seasons ago, I was one short of matching J-Bro on the leaderboard. So I really wanted to, now that I had some time and was able to, really wanted to go for it, especially knowing J-Bro wouldn't be part of the race. It would be the perfect shot.
When he threw that warning shot out, be like, I'm not playing, guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that got me excited. Until Matt nearly took it from me. It was a ridiculous number of hours at just the top, which was really fun. Like all but the first couple hours of the cube, I was either won or tied for #1 on trophies, which was a lot of fun. But really, it was all just it just turned into wanting to stream all of it and have a good time on Twitch.
Awesome. Yeah, it did seem, when I was watching your video, you didn't, even at the end of the 18 hours, I don't know, because at the beginning you're like, I just brewed some coffee, but you didn't seem like you were dragging that much at the end. You still were like super positive. It was really nice to see. I don't know. It seemed like you were doing
tired.
I was
like 12 hours is fine. I can do 12 hours, no problem, of cube streaming anyways. Other stuff, not so much, but cube, 12 hours, all good.
All right.
After about 16, it is hell. So it's just painful.
Yeah, it was just painful there, right? So I mean, during since you stream so much of it, Geeky, what were the highs and lows like? Where were you just in the bottom of the barrel, or just feeling the ultimate rush of playing cube and winning?
Bottom of the barrel was easily that 20 hours. I mean, I got all of one trophy in those like 18 hours or whatever.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, like that was not a good time. I just couldn't felt like I couldn't win to save my life. It was like I looked at my numbers, which weren't horrible, but 55% win rate over however many drafts is much lower than the average. And I'm not sure what happened there, but that was unfortunate, especially because I took the day previously off to do single elimination drafting instead, because I thought my lead was so big there's no way Matt could catch me. And of course he did. But so kind of shot myself in the foot there. That was the lowest of the lows. But highest of the high was easily there's two big things. The first 2 days of cube, I think I got all of like 2 or 3 match losses, or like some ridiculously low number. I was running at like a 90-something% win rate. It was ridiculous. That was awesome. Felt great up until I started losing like a real person again. And then there was one storm draft or one storm match where I was looking while I was in the match queue to see if my deck could get a turn 1 and how it could do it. And then I called out the cards I would need in my opening hand, and then as like it pops up and I have those exact cards, and that was the best. That was hard to beat.
That's awesome. That's an awesome story when it comes together like that. Matt, how about you, man? What was your journey like to achieve those results that you had? You had, so on Twitter, you posted 345 out of 472 for a 73% win rate, which is insane. Before you logged in, Geeky, I was like, let me just temper this. I was like, let me read you my win rate, which is 55%, which you just said was average. And thank you. And and I had 9 trophies out of 58 for a 15% trophy win rate. And Matt, you had a 39% trophy win rate. So like, what was your journey like to achieve those results?
Well, this was the first time I ever streamed. I mean, that's not true. I did a couple of like the Marty Cube and Proliferate Cube when they came up, but I didn't stream the last finished Cube season, and I got very close to winning. But so this is just some people. They decided that we'd stream, so I set it up and started streaming. So it's the first time doing that, and that was fun in its own way. Though it is brutal when you're just stuck in this 2-1 rut and you can't get it.
Yep.
I mean, on one hand, you could say, well, you're never losing any money, or you could say, well, man, 2-1's not bad. Like, that's a pretty decent rate. But when you're trying to win, it feels like you go 3 when you go 2-1. Yeah. It's especially when it's the finals match. It's just like I just wasted this much time,
Yeah.
So the second week of playing, well, the first couple days I went pretty well, right? But then the second week was just brutal. I couldn't get a trophy, but again, I was going more or less 2-1 the whole time. But it stinks to be in that position. But eventually, if you keep playing, you make it out of it. As far as top, there was, I think 2 weeks ago, Geeky and I did a stream with Derek. We talked about like our personal top picks, and I have a kind of unconventional pick order. And one of the things I had said was that I think Solitude is the best colored card in the cube.
Interesting.
Best non-power. I have it below Jit as in the top 10.
Is it Jit or Jite? Can we put this one to bed?
No, we probably can't.
No, it's Jite.
You said Jite on the stream, and I just cringed. I was like, no, not Jite. Okay, sorry. So Solitude, right?
Yeah. So then I'm streaming, and this is the day after that stream that we did. And I opened this pack that has, I put a screenshot of it on Twitter, but it has notably Solitude, Ragavan, and Ancestral.
Wow.
And I picked Solitude. And
everyone else there picks Ancestral every time.
Yeah. And I'm like bummed that I can't take this Ragavan because I love Ragavan so much.
Everybody loves the monkey.
The chat is like, you have the wrong card selected. And I said, no, I'm taking Solitude because it's better than Ancestral Recall. And then over the course of the draft, there are critical moments where Solitude is the only card that can let me win.
Can get you out, yeah.
Including in round 2, my opponent shallow grading Emrakul into play, and I had Solitude hit it. So
Solitude doesn't count as a colored spell against Emrakul?
Correct. It's a triggered ability on Solitude.
Oh gosh.
So yes. So as a result, Solitude ends up making me win that league. And
that's awesome.
It was cool. It's vindicating moment.
What an awesome story. So let's jump to the last day. I think it was the last day of the cube because I want to see your guys' reaction. So I'll just tee it up and I'll let you guys go. Okay. But it was when you guys played each other on stream, and Matt, I was able to watch it on Geeky stream. Matt, if you were streaming, I didn't watch it on your stream.
That's all right.
But so it was on Geeky stream. Like I said, I was clicking. I was like, I know they played. I gotta find it. At the 10-hour and 58-minute mark is when the game was. And so Geeky, you had white-black Reanimator, and then Matt, you were playing your green-black mid-range. And I'll start with this comment. That when Matt was when Geeky, you played, it was a not a blood crypt, but the black-red fetch land. And Matt's like, off-brand.
Yeah, it was but then I got a Pal Shaler out later,
it's
so
true.
it's fine.
What do you think? Where did that comment come from? Why do you think he said what was that comment for?
Well, Bloodstain Meyer is my card, right? He's his Palace Jailer and Underworld Breach.
Yeah. I may be known for playing with white cards, once or twice.
I think white has definitely gone up in power in the vintage cube. But I mean, and we can talk about more of that here in a second. So some of the key parts in those games, which I don't know, Geeky, you kept playing. I would have like right-click concede way earlier, like when he played Scoos against you, and then he played Douthie Voidwalker. When you're like, anything I pitch is just gonna get Douthie Voidwalked. And then the time, Matt, when you tapped Cradle 3 times in one turn.
That's pretty good.
So against someone else, I would have conceded earlier, but I really didn't want to lose to Matt.
That's fair. That's fair.
And yeah, like that's a VOD that I need to go back and rewatch.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch it as well from Matt's perspective. It was a great game, and so like watching a game like that from two of the top, I mean, there was like neck and neck at the leaderboard. I think Geek, you're at 65, Matt, you're at 64 trophies when this game is playing. It was some of the, just quintessential vintage cube, right? It's really a privilege to watch kind of two, pros at the top of their game playing each other on a vintage cube, which is what people want to see. It was super awesome to see.
Yeah, it was awesome to play. Like, Matt, I don't know how you feel about this, but it feels like I don't get to play. Like the average opponent is not a super high skill level, it feels like. So you don't get as many of these super interesting games where it's like, I know everything Matt's doing is just crazy good and it's hard to beat. It's hard to play against. So it was really, really fun for me.
Yeah, every once in a while you run those leagues that have like 3 very good opposing decks. And then it's like this real sweat. But, yeah, for sure.
Geeky, I think your comment was when Matt he took your actual pack rat, not a token copy. You're like, was that a mistake? No, Matt's really good. That must be on purpose.
Yeah.
It was a mistake.
But he gave you the credit. He's like,
Yeah.
he's trying to think of the situation where like, no, he wants the real card in case of a board wipe, and then it was pretty good. Matt, it's just real quick jumping back. You know, you obviously had to put in a lot of time. You know, obviously we all love playing Vintage Cube. I personally played 58 queues, 58 leagues, and I was dying. Like at the end of the Vintage Cube, I posted on Twitter like it is like the Frodo meme. I was like, it is over, it is done, because I was wiped out. How did you deal with the number of matches you played, Matt?
I don't know. It wasn't that bad. I mean, I only played, I don't know, like 3 months or like 4 weeks straight of playing Vintage Cube every waking moment. But
Right.
I don't know. There were things that used to tilt me more about the Vintage Cube, but I've kind of grown to accept them as being just part of the landscape, and to not let it get me so bad. There are some things that still make me very mad, but
Like what?
like Caracas.
Okay, so that's a great segue into how you kind of want to see the Vintage Cube evolve into the future. I think so. I'll tee it up back to you here, Matt, about Caracas. I'll lead with first though did you see Caleb D's Patreon article for his hits, mids, and misses? He doesn't mention Caracas in there, but so Matt, tell us why you want to see Caracas gone, or what other cards you think that MTG should think about cutting.
There are plenty of cards you could have valid arguments for cutting, but I think at the end of the day, if it's to be viewed as a somewhat competitive format, which it may or may not be, it's just kind of a fun format. But if it is something that we're trying to succeed at our best possible, it shouldn't be a design challenge for the players. It should be deal with what you're given. If you want to have a design challenge, you can build your own cube, and that's one of the great parts of Cube.
Yep.
But as a competitor, you kind of have to deal with the cards that are given to you. That being said, I do wholeheartedly think Caracas should be taken out of the cube. It is far too good for one land, and it's going to continue to become more and more powerful as Magic progresses. The popularity of Commander means that more and more creatures are printed as legendary creatures, and those are the better creatures in print now. And so they're going to continue to add those to the cube, and they're going to continue to be unplayable. That's not true, but like, I have screenshots of me with 3 legendary creatures in my hand going as Caracas. Like, what am I supposed to do? It's not like you can play 4 Wasteland in this format, where like you can in Legacy, right? So or Vintage, where you can play around Caracas. So I think it's just far too good to have it be in there. Not even to mention that you can use it for your own benefit, like bouncing your own Urza or bouncing your own Uro or Crocs or whatever shenanigans you want to get up to. And it's not like white needs the power, or it's not even like it's a white card, so to say. It's just, it does too much for a land. And it's hard, it's always interesting to talk about, like, what would you cut from Vintage Cube for power reasons? And should you, because Black Lotus is in the cube. But notably, Time Vault is not in the cube, right? So something has been power leveled from Vintage Cube, and it's Time Vault.
That's fair. Yeah, even in that last match you guys played together, Geeky could have Caracas your guy's cradle because you animated it with Nisa. No, I think that's a great argument. That's great, something to think about. Geeky, how about you? What are your thinks about the current environment? How do you think it should be looked at to change in the future?
I think it's in a pretty good place right now. I think that one of the really nice things that happened 1 or 2 iterations ago was trying to get more archetypes, like the lands package, the Dark Depths package. And I think one of the issues right now is that there's certain cards for a sacrifice deck, like Carrion Feeder, Goblin Bombardment, but that deck just doesn't exist, so they're just dead cards in the cube, and that is something that pains me to no end. So if we could just get the dead cards out and
just flesh out those archetypes a little bit more.
Yeah, or flesh out the archetypes, or just get rid of the idea that archetype can exist and continue to have just cards that other people can actually put in their 40 would be great. I think another really big thing that would be nice is to cycle back to some older cards every once in a while. Get some some of the old blue-black cards back in. I know Shinobi just went out, but getting like Hostage Taker back in, getting Ojutai back in every once in a while would be definitely fun.
Yeah, I don't, you're talking about blue cards, so I don't, so I don't know if I trust your opinions on that, but no, I hear you. I think that's fine. I do gotta agree with your sentiment. So I maintain my own personal cube. I call it the Soul Cube, and because of how much fun the lands package was, right? Like I'm adding, let's get it out of the glare here, right? Like these are some of the great cards. Oh, and this guy was awesome as well. I agree. The lands package was a great archetype to add. I think the most common comment I've seen online on the interwebs for archetypes is some sort of, like you said, like a sacrifice theme, because there's not a black aggro or a black mid-range kind of, like, because they cut Yawgmoth, but like trying to get that sacrifice gives black something other to do than like Mardu, Rakdos value or Reanimator, right? Because I don't know, you did have a green, it's black seems to fit in mid-range or Reanimator is best, there's not a lot of other archetypes that I see for that. But
one important thing about the lands is I have no interest in making Merit Lage as long as Caracas is in the cube.
There's another great example right there, right there. And it's a token. It's just
yeah,
gone.
right. Yeah. But the black thing is interesting to me because like black cards are kind of my home base in cube, and I always play aggressive creature decks. So I think a lot of people are looking for an aggro deck. And I think the only, like in black, that they can or cannot be there. But in a greater scope, I'm not sure there is an aggro deck in the cube that's not a mono red, like mono white's not an aggro deck. It just happens to be killing you while stopping you from playing the game.
I agree. I think that's been a shift over the last couple of years, is making white less aggressive and more just prolonged. More
elite spellbinder, less Savannah lines, right?
Yeah, well, I'm subject to Savannah lines. Bring back Kithy. I want my tier 2 planeswalkers.
Yeah.
Kithian was great. So let's talk some more about cube here. Matt, I see you do curate your own cube. I love the name of your cube, Old Bottles, New Wine, a Fine Vintage. Tell us about your cube, man. Tell us about the environment you're trying to curate.
Well, it does come from like an impulse to modernize the MTGO vintage cube. So like a year and a half ago, or like, so basically a year and a half ago, shortly before we could begin to meet in person again, right? That I have a couple friends that have cubed forever, and we begin to say like, okay, well, we can get together soon, so let's build a cube. And I think all of us were a little frustrated with different elements of the MTGO vintage cube. Like there are certain things we would change, certain things we would do differently. And then this list kind of became born out of that. Now it's drastically changed since that point, but the initial impulse was to just add in new cards that were not present for one reason or another, and just cut these really old clickers that don't arguably never worked. I'm not sure Metalworker ever did anything, right? But so that's the idea.
Metalworker still doesn't do anything. You don't even put that in your artifact deck.
You're gonna wait until turn 3. What are you gonna do? Like sandbag all these signets so you can play the signets for free? If I can untap with my 3/9 1/2.
I saw your thoughts on signets as well. You're like, why would I want to time walk myself?
Yeah, I think they're awful. I just never.
So signets or signets versus what's the other one? It's the 2-mana
talismans.
Signets versus talismans. I don't have enough play data. What are your guys' thoughts on those? Signets out, okay, but talismans. What about talismans?
Well, my personal view is that you should never invest in mana. Like
really?
You should get mana for free, or just play a land.
Guys, Cradle, got it. Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why we're here, right?
Or Fury or Solitude.
That's exactly right. So why are you investing in something that, one, opens you up drastically to disruption?
Yep.
And two, that all you're going to do is get 1 extra mana. Like, you're going to pay 2 mana to get 1 mana next turn. Now, here's why this is how the legacy they do which is when Holiday Cube first came up in like 2013, 2014, the best thing you could do is Dimir Signet and Jason Mindsculptor. And it's just like no one could ever beat that. But now that's laughably bad. Like, it's so, like you'll lose if that's your plan. So there's just a lot of love for signets left over, and I think they're not playable.
Geeky, do you curate a cube? Do you have a cube?
No, I'm not nearly cool enough for that.
Oh man.
It's on the to-do list eventually. That sounds like a real big time commitment.
Go to your bulk binder, take out the 360 that you like, and just boom, it's in a cube there. That's how you start. That's how everyone starts. Gotta make a cube. Geeky, I would love to play whatever cube you come up with. Maybe it's like a mono white cube or something on brand.
Oh, no, that'd kill me. No, I need my storm. I need my storm in cube so bad.
You put like astral steel in there, right?
Do either
All
of you?
link shards.
Yeah. Oh man. I think so. Like to me, being able to actually draft and navigate a storm deck is like a cube level up, like MTGO vintage cube level up that I haven't gotten to yet. That's where it's like when you see like the new mods and the LSVs, and you're like, oh, storm is so easy, and then you try it yourself, and you're just like, oh my god, what did I do? It's a train wreck.
That's what got me into Vintage Cube is I saw them doing that.
Yes.
Like those big streamers playing it. So all I did for the longest time, like every once in a while I'd put together this blue control deck or whatever in the Vintage Cubes, forcing storm every time. And for the longest time, all it did was lose. but I finally got to the point where I can just kind of throw together a storm deck and it works. And it feels so good. Like it just feels fantastic when it works out.
When it goes up. Now, I have removed Storm from my own personal queue because I cannot stand to play against Storm. Playing against Storm is the most miserable experience ever because it's a solitary game of Magic, right?
Understandable.
It's all about, what kind of play environment, play experience she's trying to curate. But I see, watching someone else storm off, great. Playing against someone else is the counter, like the time counter just ticks down. You're like, are they going to do it or not? Like, I'll just concede, man. I don't want to wait for this.
I've definitely taken 10-minute turns where all I did was play a land and pass. I've really done that, and it feels bad every time. I feel so bad for my opponents. I know it's miserable, but it's like I need to know if I can win this turn. I gotta like really go through the math like 3 times, open up Notepad.
I posted the other day, Cube is not a monolith. The MTGO vintage cube is what everyone thinks about Cube. That's why I'm really excited for the event that J-Bro and the other folks are hosting at CubeCon because, I'm an avid listener for Lucky Paper Radio, # not a sponsor. But I know Andy and Anthony, they are also on the mindset of the, Cube is not a monolith and that people need to think about Cube, that it's not just the MTGO vintage cube. But it kind of like breaks my heart a little bit because I love the MTGO vintage cube so much, but not to a point like, I just haven't really experienced a lot of other cubes either. Getting kind of like you said, Matt, trying to build your cube and update it, because we haven't been able to get together actual play. It was when we'll be able to play again in the future. I'm happy if I can fire a 6-person pod like every 6 months, right? And so when Vintage Cube comes online, you're like, this is my chance to like just cube my heart out, and it'll be awesome. All right, so hey, Geeky, tell us what else do you want anyone to know about you or know where to? I know you're a streamer on Twitch. Where can be followed? What else do you want them to know? Just anything for the viewers. Even I don't have a huge following, man. So like, whatever you want 100 people to know.
All right,
that's what you could tell them.
I've started using Twitter a little bit. I'm also under GeekyJackson. That's the main thing. I'm part of a vintage streamer Discord that I am actually level 1.
Started?
I didn't really do much, but I'm part of that original team. And then cool. 2 other streamers made, which is kind of cool as well. That there's, I'm sure links to on everything else I'm on, Twitch, Twitter.
Matt, how about you, man? Hey, what do you want people to know about you?
Well, I fire off whatever I feel like saying on Twitter, I guess, which is just at Matt_Grenier. And there's a link to my cube list on there if someone's interested in checking it out.
Well, sweet. Hey, so again, I do really appreciate it was kind of just a shot in the dark to reach out to you guys. Really some interesting thoughts, Matt, about, Solitude being the strongest colored card, non-power card in the cube. I think that's going to drive some discussion. I do hope you follow through and get go to CubeCon, get your tickets.
Yeah, I need to.
Yeah, it's going to be, all the cube people are going to be there. And Geeky, I know we'll see you there. Again, watching you guys, it was totally epic, right? Watching you guys play that last match. You couldn't have asked for like a more cinematic ending to the cube season, but I do appreciate the time. And so to all the viewers out there, thanks for hanging. Thanks for chilling with GeekyJackson, Matt Grenier, and I, and we'll see you next time.